It's been 6 months since the release of the DJI Mini 4 Pro, and I'm going to share my experiences with this drone so far. Now, I'm not going to dive into each feature in detail. However, I'll link my other video where I do dive into each feature in detail in the description below. I'd like to start off by talking about the size of this incredible drone. It really doesn't take a lot of space in your backpack. I mean, I have to carry my FPV drone, the goggles, battery, GoPro ND filters, GoPro batteries, and then I have to add additional drones, probably like the Mavic 3 Pro, and I have to add in the controller, the batteries, the ND filters for the Mavic 3 Pro as well. As you all know, the Mavic 3 Pro or the Air 3 are bigger in size, so they take up more space in your backpack. When it comes to the Mini 4 Pro, it is tiny, it fits in your pocket. I take the Mini 4 Pro with me on my daily drives, whether I'm running errands, going grocery shopping, going to work, coming back, it's always with me. Just in case I stop somewhere and there's something pretty I really want to capture, I just use this drone with me instead of having to take the Mavic 3 Pro with me everywhere and set it up. So almost every time I'm out, the Mini 4 Pro is with me. Even if I'm just going to fly my FPV drone for fun, I still take my Mini 4 Pro with me. Something I really like about this drone is how quiet it is. Now, if you're a nervous flyer, you get a little nervous when there's a few people around. Not that I'm saying you're flying over them or near to them, but just you have this fear, oh, what if it's gonna make a lot of noise? I don't want people looking toward it. It barely makes noise. It's pretty quiet. And those of you who are new to flying and the Mini 4 Pro is your first drone, or you're thinking of getting it as your first drone, it's got 360 obstacle avoidance, so an additional safety feature for those of you who are new to flying. Now, I don't really rely on these sensors. It's good to have them, but I just think that you should always be very observant of your surroundings and not have to rely on these sensors, because there are times when it's not able to sense certain things, and we've seen some really bad crashes and accidents. So always make sure you're aware of your surroundings. Just like the Mini 3 Pro, the Mini 4 Pro can also film and shoot photos in vertical mode, in true vertical mode. So for a lot of content creators out there who create content for shorts, reels, TikTok, vertical videos, what I mean, they can just turn the gimbal to vertical and compose their shots so it fits accordingly, or just quickly share it from the drone to their phone and onto social media. The camera is fantastic in low light scenarios, has an aperture of f1.8, it has a 1/1.3 inch sensor, which is an almost 1 inch sensor, so that's pretty good. The Mini 4 Pro does take 48 megapixel photos, but it's not true 48 megapixel photos. It's an actual 12 megapixel sensor, which multiplies into 4, thus giving you 48 megapixels. Now, 48 megapixels doesn't necessarily mean better photos. It's just more resolution for you. So if you're someone who crops in a lot in their photos, then shoot in 48. However, I would still recommend shooting in 12 megapixel. It turns out great. And if you really want to crop in, then I suggest using Lightroom's tool where you enhance your photos, adds more pixels to it in order to give you more quality when you crop in. The battery time for me is fantastic. It does an excellent job in staying in the air for quite a good time. Also, a tip that I would like to include here is that if you really want to get the most out of your drone, use ND filters. Even if you're shooting in normal color profile, it really helps enhance your image quality. And if you're shooting photos, make sure to include a polarizer filter so it adds more saturation in your image, but also reduces the amount of reflection. Now, it's not necessary for you to use ND filters, and it's not important that you film using manual settings. Using all automatic settings, this drone does an incredible job for you. And for those of you who are new to editing and flying a drone and recording and stuff, this drone does literally everything for you. And you can edit using the DJI Fly app, or you can even edit it using apps such as CapCut, or you can do it on your iPhone as well. Just hit edit, add some saturation, contrast, adjust your highlights, shadows, tint, temperature, all of that good stuff, and you have a really good video to share on social media. And of course, I would definitely recommend to use manual camera settings in order to get the most out of your photos and videos. It shoots in the flat color profile D-Log-M, which is what I film in most of the time. It allows me to add my color grade to it, so it gives me that flexibility in order to add my stylized look. Because the Mini 4 Pro is a 249 gram drone, it does allow you a lot of flexibility when it comes to rules and regulations. It's as easy as buy, start it up, and fly. Unlike drones like Mavic 3 Pro, which you have to register and then also obtain a pilot certificate certificate in order to fly drones that are above 249 grams. Now that doesn't mean that you fly recklessly, it's just that you have lesser restrictions if you don't have a pilot certificate and you don't have to register your drone. Because it is such a light drone, it will be pushed around by the wind quite a bit, and I'm talking some strong winds. Now in my experience so far, it has held up pretty good in windy scenarios. However, when it comes to shooting photos and it's windy, if you're shooting at slightly slower shutter speeds, you might want to reconsider it because it does get pushed by the wind quite a bit. Let's say if you're shooting at like half a second shutter speed, and if your drone gets pushed, it's going to ruin the image. This is why I recommend, even if you're shooting in faster shutter speeds, to shoot using burst mode. That way you have an image, that way you have 3 or 5 of the same exact image in case the drone was pushed while taking the other photos. Now this is something else that you need to consider when filming hyperlapses too. If you're going to fly the drone too high, then you're going to be pushed by stronger winds as well. So make sure you're flying it on a day where the wind gusts are not that strong. That way you have less work in post to stabilize your hyperlapses. Something else I also don't recommend is flying your drone so high as like say 400 feet. It doesn't really look that great. I usually film at maybe 220 feet. That's about as high as I go unless I'm in a mountainous area where I have to, you know, fly higher than 400 feet in order for the drone to get to me or whatever. The whole point of having a drone, especially like the Mini 4 Pro, is to place a camera at certain angles where you can't access, where you can't go yourself and film. So this is a great tool for these scenarios. Something else that is also there that I don't really use a lot are the tracking features where the drone tracks you. If you're someone who goes hiking a lot, someone who goes running a lot or biking a lot and, you know, completely open areas, you can use this drone to track you and you can place it and, you know, get those really cool cinematic looking shots that are autonomous and you don't have to do it manually. This drone does it all for you. Spotlight mode, POI mode. It is a fantastic feature to use if that's something you're into. Now, is this a drone that you might want to upgrade from your Mini 3 Pro? I would advise you not to. I mean, first you need to look at what exactly it is you're using the drone for. If you're going to use it very often, you want the latest and the greatest, and you want the features such as 4K 100, you want the 360 obstacle avoidance, you want to film in D-Log-M compared to the flat color profile that is decent like on the Mini 3 Pro, and sure, go for it. However, the Mini 3 Pro is a great drone and films great videos. I would not recommend upgrading just for, you know, a few features such as the obstacle avoidance and 4K 100 and D-Log-M. However, if it is your first drone and you have the budget to purchase a new drone, I would say go for the Mini 4 Pro. It is a fantastic drone. Now, most of the viewers on social media will not be able to tell the difference in quality when it comes to videos that come from the Mini 4 Pro or the Mavic 3 Pro. I mean, you're able to film in 4K up to 100 frames per second. That is just great. It allows you to film in vertical mode, so you're able to compose your shot for vertical videos. It's very user-friendly for those of you who are new to flying as well. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the Mini 4 Pro is almost always with me whenever I go out. I use this drone more often. Now, when it comes to also using it for commercial purposes such as filming real estate, I've used it for filming real estate and there's been no complaints ever. I use the Mini 3 Pro in fact for filming real estate, no complaints there either. Now, there are specific times where I'm asked to film in, let's say, 5K, which the Mavic 3 Pro can do, and film in extremely flat color profiles such as D-Log. Then I use the Mavic 3 Pro because it has more features, it has a bigger sensor, but most of the time I get away with filming with just the Mini 4 Pro because it produces such great image quality. Now, if you're someone who creates a lot of content for Reels and TikTok, I would recommend getting a drone such as this because it's really going to take your content creation to another level, adding all those really good looking drone shots in there. You don't require a license to fly it, nor do you need to register your Mini 4 Pro in order to fly it as well. You bypass many restrictions compared to drones that are heavier than 249 grams. And also, if you're someone who wants to get into color grading your own footage, it has the D-Log-M, which allows you to film in that flat color profile in order for you to then color grade in post. My experience with this drone has been great so far. It's an incredible drone. I don't really have a lot of complaints apart from, you know, it getting pushed around by the wind, but that's to be expected because it is quite a tiny drone and it's pretty light. It's only 249 grams. Now, if there's anything specific that you want to know about my experience with this drone so far, make sure to leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe so you don't miss future videos. I'll see you guys in the next one.